God works through our mess.
You know?
There's nothing called perfection, actually, because we're all on this journey of self-improvement. Every day we're getting better. Every day we're growing. When you look at
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hi.
My name is Vanessa Adebayo, and this is Reverend Johanna Ihegihu.
Yes, I'm excited to be here.
And today we are having a special session today that is a collaboration between the Seasoned Woman podcast and Feel Your Faith.
Excited about it.
I'm excited too. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this collaboration.
Thank you. Thank you to you too. I'm so excited to finally be sitting here with you. I've heard great things about what you're doing, and
You.
I'm super excited to be here.
Great, great. And I think today is actually extra special because today is International Women's Day.
Awesome.
And what better way to celebrate International Women's Day by having two women who have two different platforms come together. And the great thing I love about the seasoned woman, we understand that different women are in different seasons of life, but there's something great that really transpires when two different women in two different seasons of life can come together and share their experiences and share their faith and be able to just learn from one another. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation, especially for myself, because I feel like we're going to have some great conversation that we can both learn from. And hopefully the audience will be able to learn from it as well.
I totally, totally agree with you because I think that we're in a phase with women now that things are moving very fast. A lot of women are finding their voice, they're finding their space, they're able to express themselves. And I'm super delighted that you're sitting here with me. Yes, we may come from different generations. However, we have the same needs, the same desires to have freedom, to be able to express ourselves, to move the cause of women forward. So I'm delighted to be here and I'm looking forward to learn from you as much as you're looking forward to speak to me.
Awesome,
So it's
awesome.
going to be the same.
It's gonna be great, and I think we're already setting the tone for the conversation because we know that International Women's Day theme this year for 2025 is to accelerate girl equity and inclusion. And I think,
Wow.
generally speaking, we as a woman, as you mentioned, are progressing, and it's just so good to see that we're not where we once were. We still have a long way to go, but it'll be interesting to kind of talk and discuss about our journeys and how that may also just help encourage women that may tune into the segment today.
I think that we've come a long way. We were talking about this a little earlier, and I said, I feel like at this moment, I want to take a breather. And this may be because we're also from different points in our journey. I feel like we need to celebrate where we are as women.
Yeah.
We have a lot of ground to cover, we have a lot to do, but we've come a long way. And I remember when I was younger, and I would think about how my parents related, even within the family. There was so much differentiation in being a man and a woman, and you almost felt like a woman had no voice. A woman could not express herself. She just had one role, one space where she could be herself. But now we live in this world where women can speak up. They can be in different roles. They can actually take action. And I
Yeah.
think that's a beautiful thing. So I'm excited about the theme of this year, which is to accelerate, to grow, and to also take action. I think that's beautiful. I think that's something that um it's well chosen.
I agree. I agree. So before we dive in and talk a little bit about, women and accelerating and making progress, I do want to give the audience the opportunity to get to know a little bit about us.
Okay.
Because this is a collaboration, we will have both of our audiences tuning in
Hmm.
to this session. And I'm hoping that from this conversation, that women from the season women can tune in to Feel Your Faith, and women
Awesome.
from Feel Your Faith can tune into the season women.
That's
So I just like to give you an opportunity first to maybe share a little bit about Feel Your Faith, what the mission behind it is, and then from there I'll share about the season women, and then we can kind of go from there.
Okay, so Follow Your Faith is a program that started about 3 months ago. Actually, we're pretty young, and the goal is to actually give scriptural nuggets and share experiences and stories that people can pull from to build their life. So, in my life, I've experienced God's grace and God's faithfulness over the years. And my journey has been far from smooth. I tell people it's been jagged, it's gone up, it's gone down like many of our lives. But all through it, there's a thread that has been constant, and that's the thread of faith.
Right.
And I believe that if you have somewhere you can get a nugget, a word that can build you up when you are in that down moment and you're sad or you're not sure you can make it, that word can actually carry you through. So that's
Mhm.
what the foundational principle behind Fuel Your Faith, where we can share a word that can lift women up, lift men up, lift people up to say, you know what, I can move forward, I can move toward my purpose, I can get better. So I'm looking forward to have more people look at it, listen to it, give us their feedback, tell us what they're getting from it, what they would like to hear from us, because ultimately it's not about just putting words out there, but it's words that can fuel you, that can energize
I
you,
love that.
empower you for your journey.
That's amazing. And where can people tune in if they want to get to interact with Fuel Your Faith? Is it on YouTube, Instagram?
So we're both on YouTube and
Okay,
Instagram, and you
great.
could just check by JOHANNA IHEGIHU, and both Instagram, YouTube, and I think even on Facebook as well.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm encouraged. I thank God for your life. I thank God that you had the burden to start something where people can identify with a mission that helps them fuel their faith towards their purpose and really receive a word from God, especially in the season that we're in right now. The Lord knows we all need to be hearing from Him. Um, to bounce off of what you said, I had started the Season Woman about 2 to 3 years ago,
Okay.
and it's really just a platform for the generation of women in different seasons of life to be able to find solace in hearing stories about different women and the challenges and experiences they've gone through, and in order to really just build a generation of women that will love themselves, love God, and love people. And it really is just supposed to be an encouragement to women to identify maybe one or two things from each woman that I interview and their stories and be able to take that with them to encourage them and really just build their relationship with God on the journey of life. Because we all go through life and life situations, but ideally, I just believe life is so much sweeter when you can do those three things, which is to love yourself, love God, and be able to love people.
I think, Vanessa, I think that is beautiful and that is well said. I think that when you start to love yourself, and that mission is beautiful, and we as women also need it more because we all go through all these challenges every day, and we grow up, we're not sure how to feel about ourselves. Some people think it's selfish to love yourself. Some people think it's self-serving, but actually it is beautiful to accept yourself, to love yourself, to see God's goodness and God's grace in you, and then to have the opportunity to learn on your platform from other women who
Right.
have walked through that experience. I think is just a gift to this generation. So thank you.
Oh, thank
Thank you
you.
for sharing
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. So now you know you can tune into the Season Woman on YouTube, Instagram. You can tune into Fueling Your Faith on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and get to interact with either platform.
Yes.
But today we're collaborating, and so I'm really excited, and I just kind of want us to just briefly dive into it being International Women's Day, as you mentioned, what your journey as a woman has been. I mean, I know it's been a long journey, but like what is something key to you being a woman that you'd like to share with the audience? And really like when we talk about accelerating and taking action, like what does that mean to you, specifically in relationship to your journey?
Whew, that's a loaded question. As you were asking me that question, a lot of experiences were running through my mind, and there's one that stands out for me. I think I'm a woman of faith. I believe in Jesus. I love God, and I've always served in ministry all of my life. And I remember an experience leading a prayer meeting in Tulsa, Oklahoma, almost 20 years ago. And I was there on a Friday night, and somebody came in and he was so aggravated. And he said, "Women, take your place." And he charged at me. I almost took me off the altar because he felt like a woman shouldn't be standing there leading prayer.
Wow.
Thank goodness for all the wonderful people who were there that day who stopped him and took him out and tried to calm him down because he felt like this was a paradigm shift. And A man needed to be in front and not a woman. And that experience, did two things for me. It affected me in a way that I had to question my calling. I questioned my ministry. I questioned what God was asking me to do because I felt like I was led to Bible school at that point by God. And I knew for a fact that He led me there. And to go through that experience, I was like, why would you put me in this situation? So I questioned my faith. But then it also brought me to a full circle where it strengthened my faith. After questioning it, I got a resolution that there are going to be people in the world who do not endorse who you are, who do not agree with you,
Yeah.
who are not going to say, go on. But you have to keep moving in spite of it. You have to be resolute in your mind. So when you ask me, what does it mean to accelerate or to take action? For me, it is to be resilient. It is to say, I know who I am. I have a right to be here in this world, and I'm going to give space to everything that the creator put in me.
And you.
So I'm resolute about it, and that's what it means for me. And I just want to encourage every woman listening. You don't need anybody's endorsement to be you. You don't need anybody's permission to live your life. You can do everything that's in you because it's been put in you. And I think that's what I would like to see more of, women standing up, giving voice to what's in them, not allowing traditions and customs to define them, but giving expression to their God given talent.
Wow, that is so good. And thank you so much for sharing that. I think
You're
what you've
welcome.
shared is so pivotal because it's something that all women in all generations, in all locations need to be able to hear around the world,
Mm,
to be able to be confident in who God has called them to
yes.
be able to stand in boldness and know that regardless of whatever other people think of you, you can still stand because of who you've been called by.
Yes.
It is so important because you see globally women are there's a paradigm shift, right? And women are being called to lead. Women are being called to sit at the table. Women are being called to make decisions. Yet some people are not happy about that. And I know we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but even this year, I mean, this recently, this last few weeks, we received news that Senator Natasha Akpoti was suspended after filing a sexual harassment against the Senate president in Nigeria. And unfortunately, her suspension was caused by her bringing this to the forefront of public attention and saying this was what was happening to her. But I love how she, um just made people understand that she's been given an authority that whether she's suspended or not, her authority still stands.
Mm.
She is still a senator, and she still will continue to advocate for women rights. And I think in that, you can see a woman that is standing bold.
Yes.
You can see a woman that is confident in who God has called her to be. You can see a woman say, hey, look, you can strip me of whatever authority you
You
think you
want,
have,
yes.
but I still stand and I still stand by what I said, you
Mm,
know? So I think it is important. And especially because, we live in a very social media heavy environment.
correct.
People are looking for perfection. People are thinking they have to show up, they have to be ready, they have to present a certain way. But really, if God has called you to do something, if God has called you to stand in authority, if God has called you or given you a gift, you should be able to stand regardless of what other challenges and experiences that you may go through.
And
So that's
you are
something great.
so on point because like you said, God works through our mess.
You know?
There's nothing called perfection, actually, because we're all on this journey of self improvement. Every day we're getting better, every day we're growing. When you look at our lives as humans, as an example, you see that we're not the same person we were yesterday. Our minds change, our bodies change, our lives change. So, women, we all need to just encourage ourselves wherever you are, whatever stage you are in life, you have an audience, you have a group of people who will listen to you. You can influence your environment, you can influence your children, you can influence things around you. So I'm so proud of this senator for standing up at this time, shedding the light on this abominable act. I don't think that should be happening to any woman. I think that this is just my opinion. I think men of good conscience, women of good conscience should stand up and begin to say no to this kind of act. I
Ab
don't think she should be suspended for speaking up, and I just kudos to her for standing up and being an example for younger women coming behind her.
I love that, and I love how you mentioned not just women, but men. So,
Yes.
men, this is also a message to you that we need allies, right? We need men of God and just men, period, to step
Mhm.
up to the plate and also advocate for women's rights, in order for us to be able to accelerate forward.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you a question. I want to know, as we are moving forward, as we're progressing and accelerating, it's very easy for us to say, hey, know who you are, know whose you are, know what God has put in your, in your and filled you up with, or know what purpose God has sent you on earth to achieve. But what are some of the key things that you think are essential for us to really be able to get through this, the mess that we may experience, or the challenges that we may go through? What are the things that really you think are tangible for women to hold on to, even when getting through the journey of fulfilling purpose isn't as easy because of, whatever experiences or challenges that may come their way.
That's I will say self-awareness. If I had to choose one thing, I think self-awareness is healing. And what I mean by that is unpacking yourself. For me, that was what changed my life. That changed the trajectory of my life when I sat down and I took an audit of my life. I really sat down to say, what am I thinking about? What do I do on a daily basis? How do I live my life? And when I got to the point where I'm like, oh, this is what I do. Okay, this is what I want to do. And beginning to line up both and being authentic, saying, okay, what I do and what I think are aligned. And I think if I had to say something to women today, I would say kind of find your authentic self. Take time to unpack yourself. You're a gift from God, but a lot of us haven't spent enough time.
With
And not
ourselves.
just women, but men as well. We haven't spent enough time unpacking ourselves, like getting to know yourself. Who are you? What do you like? What do you not like? What are the gifts that you have? What do you like to express? How do you show up? We have been coded by the environment that raised us, and there's so many things that we do in our subconscious that when someone taps you and say, "Hey, you just did that," you'll be like, "No, I didn't," but you really did. And I'm saying when you stop and you take account of your life, and just almost like what Jesus did in the temple
Right.
when he got into the temple and he picked up the book of Isaiah and he read it and he said, today the scripture is fulfilled before you. The people were like, how dare you? How dare you tell us that you're Emmanuel? But he's been spending 30 years uncovering
Mhm.
himself, figuring out himself. So he made that announcement. So I think if we as women take time to really unpack ourselves, accept ourselves, love ourselves, like you said, I think we'll go a long way. I think nothing will be able to stop us.
Stop us, even the challenges that we may go through.
Yes, we'll be able to
Yeah.
go through it.
And I love that. And I think, we do, like I said, we live in a digital world. Everything is fast paced. Things are moving constantly.
Yes.
There's the distraction of social media. There's just life in general
Yes.
happening. And sometimes that very distraction is what the enemy uses to stop you from achieving greatness. That's the very distraction that the enemy will use to get you to focus on something outside of your purpose.
Yes.
And so I love the fact that you talk about taking account and really being sitting still, right? And really taking into account who you are, what it is that you need to improve on or work on, and
Yes.
where it is that where you'd like to be. And I'd like to just chime in and say that sometimes you're not maybe self-aware enough to do the unpacking, but to your point, in order to become self-aware, sometimes you can have someone help you do that audit.
That's true.
I'm a big say I'm a big fan of therapy. I think therapy is great. I think if you have a counselor, a mental health therapist you can talk to unpack some of the things that you may be experiencing, they don't have the answers, but they can help you find the answers, right? They can guide your thought process. They can provide um opportunities to really just think things through in a way that you've probably never before. So, I mean, I think it's something that we all should do more often, and also just spending time with God, because He will reveal things to you about yourself that maybe you don't know, right?
Yeah.
Even through reading the word, or just spending time listening to worship, like whatever it is that you need to do to unplug from your day-to-day distractions. I think it's so pivotal to really becoming more self-aware and in tune with yourself.
Totally on point, Vanessa. I have my therapy on a biweekly basis.
Yeah.
She'll be excited if she's watching this right now. Just like, you know, I meet with her, and it's not only one directional. And she told me last time, she was like, this is also a blessing to me. She helps me, guides me through some of the thought patterns, like you're saying. So if you're able to, and you have that opportunity, not every woman has that privilege or that
No, for
opportunity
sure.
or access to therapy. But if you do, I suggest that you take advantage of it. And if you don't, the old way of going to pastors and talking to people that are leaders is also a form of counseling and
No,
therapy.
definitely.
People that can mentor you, but take advice. I think that's a great advice. And what you also said about the word of God revealing yourself, oh my goodness. Did we not hear David when he said, search me, O Lord?
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you're reading the word, you kind of feel this conviction and you're like, ooh, that talks about me. And then the worship songs, you know,
Sometimes it hits and you're like,
you're
God, I
on
probably shouldn't
fire.
have said that. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think that those are right on point. It's in tune. I think it will help us as women when we soak ourselves in there more.
No, agreed. I wanted to just talk to you a little bit also about your journey. I don't know if people really know much about you, but before, we round up the conversation, I think it's great to kind of talk a little bit about what you do for your 9 to 5 or what you do as your business and a little bit about who you are and how your relationship with God has also impacted you being able to step into these spaces with boldness.
Okay. So in my previous world, I worked with the multinational for years as a brand manager, and then I got a call to go into seminary in 2000, and that was the hardest thing I did in my life. And I remember, walking away from my supposedly dream job 6 months before I got married, and I felt like I had to go to Bible school, and that was hard.
Right.
And that was hard. And when I showed up like Jonah. Actually, my thesis was on Jonah because I showed up reluctant. I did not want to be there, and I did show up anyway. And that those 3 years were really hard. There were
Imagine.
3 years of God baking me and teaching me that I could rely on him. Before that, I relied on my parents and I relied on my good judgment and my education, and I trusted on those things. But when I went to Bible school, I had to rely on God, and He was faithful.
Mm.
That's a story for another day. A lot of miracles and testimonies, and I came out debt free. But through that, my life has been transformed. I work in the education space right now. I have my own business, and I manage an education business where we help kids accomplish their dream. And in addition, I also do a lot of women ministry. I speak to women. I speak in many churches, and overall, I think my faith has helped me navigate life. I don't see a difference between the 9 to 5 and ministry. I think they're all the same. I think it's just one person showing up with different hats. I also carry the same faith into my family, being a mom, which is another thing I'm super proud of. I think that's my primary assignment. I'm also a wife, so I also take that very seriously. Because one thing I kept saying to God was a lot of ministers end up successful, but without their family. And I said to God, I said, if you're going to call me, my family has to come along, or I'm not going. You have to find a way. I don't know how, but we're all going to have to show up at the end point. So those were my ask of God, and I am so glad that He's met it. About 10 years ago, I did one more ask of God. I said, Lord, I wanted financial freedom. And I said, I want to stop worrying about money because I'm a warrior. I don't know if other women out there are warriors. I'm a warrior. And I didn't want to worry about those things. So I had to go back to God, and my faith again carried me through. So I think to women, who am I? I would say I'm a woman of faith that is navigating life every day, trying to just find that space where your faith can carry you through.
Yeah, and it makes sense why you called your platform Feel Your
Your faith,
Faith.
exactly.
Um, I just wanna just touch on this and, we'll use this as a way to round up, but I think it's important as women to understand that God has different roles and different opportunities for us to show up, and we don't have to show up in the capacity of just one role and have that be our entire being.
Yeah.
I think there's something beautiful about the fact that you can be a mom, you can be a reverend, you can be, a podcast host, you can be a friend, you can be a sister, you can be a wife, and do it all so well. I think that's what's beautiful about us women,
Yes.
that God has called us, and sometimes it feels impossible to maybe fulfill all of these roles in its entirety perfectly, but God doesn't call us to be perfect. He just calls us to show up.
That's true.
And in that, I believe that when you show up, God will help you every step of the way. It may seem like a lot of responsibility, being able to juggle all of these different roles and responsibilities, but I truly believe that if this is something that God is calling you to do, He will provide. He will provide an opportunity for you to be able to show up in the best way possible. And so we thank God for your life. We thank God for your story. And we thank God for the faith to believe God for more. And so I think, like, just generally speaking, for me, from my perspective, I think my whole life has been fueled by faith
Awesome.
and just being able to show up. And I hope that by the nature of people just coming in contact with this session today, that they feel encouraged that regardless of whatever it is that they may be experiencing or going through, that they too can believe that God will make a way
Amen.
and He would make their path straight and He would provide them an opportunity to be able to fulfill purpose and do it regardless of what other people say. And so, yeah, I don't want to talk too much, but
Yeah, but I
I'm
think
encouraged.
I
I'm
think I
encouraged.
want to hear from you though, because I think some people who are listening from Fuel Your Faith, they want to know a little bit about what you do out, how they
Oh,
can connect
really?
with
Okay, okay. I will give a brief synopsis
yeah.
time. I'll give a brief synopsis, but I will say, I was born and raised in the US, and um I think after college I then decided to go live on the continent. I've been living on the continent of Africa in different countries between Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and Nigeria for the past 5 to 6 years. And it's been life changing. I remember people telling me that I was absolutely crazy because I was not born and raised on the continent. And they didn't understand what I would be potentially looking for, especially in a country like Nigeria. That, people that are running away and japaing and leaving, you want to be going back to the country, they didn't understand it. But I feel that in the vision that God gave to me for my life to be able to go back, to be able to implement change, to be able to find things that need to be challenged and mindsets that need to be improved. I felt confident that God would provide for me. And that's what He's done in the past 5 to 6 years. When it comes to the area of my work, He's provided me opportunities to be able to implement change through international development and being able to advocate for community projects and people really implementing change within their communities. He's been able to allow me to help people find healing and find resources to be able to address their mental health. He's helped me to be able to provide a platform for women and being able to just interview different women and get to understand their different journeys and how they can be a blessing to other young women that are listening. He's provided every step of the way. I just
Wow.
got married, so God
Awesome.
has provided every
Congratulations.
so thank
That
you.
is
But I say all this
amazing.
to say that God has provided in every single aspect of my life, even in the leap of faith to pursue purpose and to
Mm.
be able to go after what I believe God is calling me to do, regardless of how crazy or weird or, um, whatever it is that people may think about, the decision. I know that God has been behind me every step of the way. So that's what's encouraging.
That is such an amazing, inspiring story because it feels like God called me at about the same age to come west, and then He called you to go to the
To be
continent. So
honest,
it's like a switcheroo.
it is a switcheroo. It is a switcheroo.
That is
And here
amazing.
we are together
Again,
on the same
exactly,
platform.
exactly. That is amazing. So I am so excited to be, collaborating with you today. I cannot even wait to see what God will do with what you're doing in on the continent of Africa. And I just send you a lot of well wishes. I know we're going to be connected. I know all the women that are listening today. We want to encourage you. You have something to share as well. Feel free to put that out there. Don't be afraid. Stay confident. It's International Women's Day, and we just say accelerate and take action.
Accelerate and take action. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for having me, Reverend Joanna. This was awesome.
Yeah.
And I pray and I hope that everyone that comes in contact with this segment is encouraged. Thank
Same,
you.
same here. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Let's just pray. Let's close in prayer. Our Father and our God, we thank you. We thank you for this awesome time together.
Thank you.
We know that this has been preordained, and we pray that every woman, every man, every young person that listens to this segment will be blessed.
Yes.
And they will take something away that will encourage them for their journey. And when we look back on this moment, we'll be so grateful for what you have done. Thank you, mighty God. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.